Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Great. Looks like a ton of people are already in here. Sorry I didn't set Zoom correctly, but I'm glad to see so many faces. This is great. We'll wait a few more minutes until more people have signed on, since this isn't technically starting for 2 more minutes. But thank you all for getting to this meeting and making time for this.
Like a fill-in for when he's got sick, basically. Long term, just
I'm just trying to see.
Recording in progress.
Okay, go for it. You can go do what you're going to do. There's lots of people in this meeting.
I need you to.
Okay, I think we'll get things started. I'll start out slow just in case there are a few people who are just waiting to log on. And Key, feel free to stop me, or Jill, if you think I'm missing something or want me to slow down. So tonight we're going to be doing a little presentation on Bethel Online and just providing some information about the 2021-22 school year and going over a bunch of questions that families may have. I think, can everyone hear me? Yeah? Okay, Jill can hear me. Okay. Someone in the chat is saying they can't hear me.
We can hear you.
I'm really sorry. I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, we got it. Great. Yeah, so we're just gonna have Key and Jill RW go over a lot of different pieces of information. So please feel free to slow us down, or if you have questions during the presentation, feel free to drop it in the chat. Someone can't hear. Okay. We're having some technical difficulties. That's not uncommon. As we go through the presentation, feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we will answer them towards the end so that we can get through the presentation fully. Yeah, so lots of different information, common questions, program highlights, technology information, etc. So yeah, let me know at the end if you have any questions, and you can always reach me at my email, which is my first and last name, alicia.dodds@bethel.k12.or.us. And I wonder if people still can't hear me. Key and RW both can hear me, right?
We can hear you. If you're having trouble, well, why am I verbally giving these instructions? That makes a lot of sense.
I'll put it in the chat if you tell me what to say.
They might want to check their audio.
All right.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Yeah, Alicia, I'm really sorry. I actually had my computer on mute. So
No worries.
I haven't Zoomed in a while. I'm a little bit out of practice. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being with us this evening. My name is Jill RW. It's so weird. I have to introduce myself differently now. I used to introduce myself as the principal at Prairie Mountain School, and just recently I have been moved to the district office. So now I am the director of elementary teaching and learning. So Yeah, tonight is exciting. It's the first time I've actually said it in public. So again, thanks for being here. I'll just quickly go over the agenda. And like Alicia said, there will be time at the end of this presentation for your questions, but go ahead and drop those into the chat so we can get those recorded. The first thing that we'll talk about is our core values for the Bethel Online Academy. We'll talk to you a little bit about the day in the life of a BOA student. And the reason we have a snake down there is because it's a BOA constrictor, right? We're trying to create something cute here. But we'll talk to you about what that could potentially look like for K through 5 and then also 6 through 8. We'll talk about some program highlights and of course spend some time talking about technology and supplies that students in the Bethel Online Academy will need and be provided with. It's important for us to take time to talk about nutrition and also counseling and what special education and special programs will look like in Bethel Online Academy. Key will talk a little bit about campuses. You're probably like, what? This is online, but he'll talk to you about campuses and what we're meaning about that. And then of course, at the very end, we'll take time for questions and we'll do our best to answer those for you. So let's go ahead and start with our core values. This has been our #1 core value in education for the last, for as long as I can remember, but especially during school closure and the pandemic, we have focused all of our work on care and connection first and foremost. And that is going to continue not just in online learning, but of course in in-person learning. We know that students online, they benefit from really strong and structured routines and schedules. It doesn't help anyone when schedules are constantly changing, especially our students. And so that is one of our values, and also movement and nutrition. If you are not new to Bethel, you probably saw your students up and active during instruction this past year, and also encouraging kids and encouraging families to come and get the nutrition that our district is providing, and also some healthy nutrition routines at home. We believe strongly in students benefiting from positive interactions, of course, not just with their teachers and instructors, but with themselves. And so our teachers deliberately and explicitly provide opportunities for our kids to connect with each other. And so that is going to be continuing on in BOA. And we believe that students learning online can have a wonderful, well-rounded education. And in our Bethel Online Academy, all students will be supported and all students will have rigorous instruction, and we believe all students can learn. So with those core values, let's talk a little bit about elementary and what a day in the life of an elementary student can look like. Now, these are just sort of general ideas of what the day might look like. We still are looking at numbers and how many students we would be serving. But typically, so just look at the colors here. So blue is teacher facilitated synchronous learning. So that means that we are engaging together, and that would be in the form of Zoom. That's the blue. And then green is the teacher facilitated asynchronous learning and applied learning. So that is, if you recall last year, that was assignments, activities, projects that kids participated in on Seesaw or on Google Classroom, okay? And then the purple is, again, teacher facilitated synchronous learning, but this is within special programs like title reading and possibly math, special education, English language development, and also speech. And so this model is approximately 8:45 to about 12, where students would be engaging in synchronous learning with their classroom and their teachers. Of course, we would have a lunch and a break, and that might even be longer. It might be maybe even 45 minutes to allow for people to come to sites to get lunch anyway, we're still trying to figure that out. And then that flexible learning time, that can be happening with in homes whenever that is fitting family routines and schedules. And then grade level specific time with the special programs, that is going to be scheduled because again, that is synchronous learning. That's where students would be working in a small group setting, depending on the program that they are qualifying for. So that is a general idea. This should look very familiar, especially if you are just coming from online elementary grades here in Bethel. This is much like what we did last year.
All right, thanks, RW. So my name, everybody, is Key Zublin. So I'm RW's counterpart, Director of Teaching and Learning at the secondary level. So I'm going to walk you through what this will look like for middle schoolers and what it will look like for high schoolers. So at middle school this coming year in Bethel, we have a 7-period day. It was very important to us that we match those periods in our design of what a middle school online schedule looks like. So you'll see here a potential 7-period day that a student might have. They'll have access to all the core academic classes, science, language arts, social studies, math, and then also a PE/health class and an additional elective. So access to 2 electives. And then there's that really crucial academic support period at the end of the day as well, where they have a chance for some small group or focused support from the teacher. So far, we know that we will have PE health as well as art, and we're going to be working to come up with some other elective options for students as well, because like we said in our core values, we want students in Bethel Online to have a well-rounded education. And so the high school schedule completely mirrors what happens at Willamette High School. So it's got the A-day, B-day schedule, and you'll see there, if you're familiar with Willamette, you'll know that they have 90-minute periods and that they have 4 per day for a total of 8. There is a little typo here that I didn't fix. I apologize. It says that they have PE twice. That would be a lot of PE. That would substitute for one of those PEs any other elective that they might have. So when we design our schedules at Willamette High School, we're going to design them to match exactly what is going on during the in-person learning. And we're going to ensure that we have access to as much varied programming as we can possibly manage. So I want to highlight a couple of things that are unique about Bethel Online Academy, particularly when you contrast it with some of the online charter schools. One of the important ways in which Bethel Online is different is that there's daily contact with Bethel teachers. If you were in our middle school program previously, there wasn't a lot of Zooming going on, although students had at least 2 Zoom opportunities during the day. We expect that that's going to go up a bit in Bethel Online. There's a sweet spot for each grade level, as I'm sure all the families in here know. We don't want them spending too much time on the screen, but we also want them to have that daily interaction with each other, with their teacher, and also it helps to establish and keep routines for students. They will have, they'll be utilizing all Bethel learning materials, so all of our adopted curricula is what they're going to be learning with. There's opportunities for daily tutoring, academic support, access to a wide range of classes like we were talking about. If you're wondering, and we've had this question a few times, what that means in terms of your enrollment at your neighborhood school, especially if you're one of the families who was grandfathered into a neighborhood school, that's going to continue. When you complete your registration process, you're going to register just like normal at your neighborhood school. And then we're going to have a separate process with that survey to identify folks who want to be in BOA, and then we'll schedule you into BOA, but we'll keep that enrollment at your neighborhood school. We can provide you with participation in after-school activities. So the schedules for all of our schedules are synced up to an elementary and a middle and a high school schedule in our district, so that students can participate in things like maybe after-school CTE programming or marching band or what have you. Finally, we can offer a flexible return to in-person scheduling. So as circumstances around the pandemic change, you might decide it's time to come on back, and we can offer, we can't turn on a dime, but we can offer as much flexibility as we can possibly manage around that, because we want your students returning to school when when you all feel like it's safe to do so. The last thing that I want to add, and we'll talk about campuses a little bit here, is that there will be opportunities for in-person small group one-on-one support if you so choose. We are not going to require it of anybody that you come on into the buildings, but we're going to make sure that that is an opportunity that students have.
Okay, so technology and supplies, you know, when I look back at last year and the year before that, I'm just particularly proud of our technology department and the way that we got technology in the hands of our students and our families. And that is not going to change for this coming year. So we will be providing free of charge laptops for our students, so they of course have access to this school, this new learning environment. We can also be helping families and providing Wi-Fi if that is a need in households. Workbooks, again, when we're using our core curriculum in our Bethel Online Academy, we want to make sure that teachers and students have access to the workbooks that go along with our core curriculum. So those will be made available, of course. School supplies, if you were here last year, you probably came down several times for a rollout of school supplies. And so that will also continue for next year, and any kind of project materials. And so if your child is in a classroom where they're doing a particular activity or unit or project, all teachers will be making sure that students get the materials that they need. So that's really wonderful. And we worked really hard at that here in Bethel, and really proud of that. The next thing is nutrition. We've been in conversations with our nutrition coordinator, Catherine. She's wonderful. She has let us know that all Bethel students and online students will be receiving free lunch. And we're currently working out the details on how that is going to work and what kind of supports families need to get food in the hands of our kids. And so stay tuned for that, but just know that we are working on a plan that, you know, it could be based on school sites like we have pretty much now. It could be delivering to students' houses. We're in the process of having those conversations. So, and then the last thing that I'm going to talk about right now is counseling. We really leaned on our counselors last year in lots and lots of ways. We are committed in the Bethel Online Academy to also have a dedicated counselor available to support our students and the needs of our students. So you can count on that, and we are committed to having that counselor be a very regular face in all of our classes in BOA. It's important that our students have that other trusted adult other than their teacher and their family. But I want you to know that our students will be supported, and this can happen again virtually online, or like what Key was saying, in one of our campuses, it could happen also in person there.
So a couple quick things about some of our special programming. So we have hired special education staff to make sure that we can provide education for students with individual education plans, IEPs. We do have a dedicated staff member. They'll be partnering with students, families, as well as teachers. They'll be holding IEP meetings. All of those things will be happening at the start of the school year and throughout the school year. If we have identified students who will need to receive title reading services, we are prepared to serve them as well, and as well ELD services. All of those things will be part of our programming. And so really quickly about the campuses, should say campuses, it says campus. So we have blocked off space at 3 levels, K5, 6, 8, and 9, 12. And the intent of that space is that we have a place where staff can take turns meeting up with students. And again, I want to reiterate that that is optional for students and families, but it's a resource that they may wish to use to receive tutoring or other kinds of support or meet with counselors or what have you. And so we have a room at Danabo for that for K-5, a room at Cascade for 6-8, and then space at Willamette to make that happen. Okay, so that's the end of our spiel. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alicia.
Great. So the rest of the time we have is for questions. So I know that you all have a lot of those. So let's jump into it. The first question, I think, is about whether there's going to be anything available for tags students. Key, is that something you can answer?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Great question. We should have put that on our slide. We'll have to do that for tomorrow night, Alicia, for our in-person session. Yes, that is another special service that we are legally required to provide, and we're prepared to do so. You know, one of the things I want to highlight about online learning is that it's an interesting opportunity for folks who are working with any student really, and TAG students included, to get eyes on what students are learning and have a chance to really unpack the lesson plans that students are being exposed to and advocate for students and advocate for acceleration or compacting or whatever the case may be that might be appropriate for their TAG plan. So yes, very much we will be serving students who are TAG identified in BOA.
Thank you, Key. The next couple questions are about masks and mask decisions. So currently we are hoping that families and staff can provide us with some information about how they feel about masks and mask mandates, or masks being optional, etc. We're hoping to gather information all week. And next week, we will be meeting as a district group to go over what we learned and the data, and then we'll be moving forward with the decision. I'm reluctant to give everyone a date, and I know that that's really frustrating because you all are waiting to hear more about masks and how that might determine your decision to enroll in BOA or not. So I'm really sorry we can't give you that exact date at this moment, but really soon we want to make that decision so that families do have that information and can make informed decisions. I just can't give you a date right now, but following this week, after we compile some answers and some data, we will be definitely sending out information as soon as we can and as soon as we make a decision. There are constantly new health data that's coming out and new health recommendations coming out. And so we're doing our best to really weigh that with family input and staff input, and working with our local public health organizations to ensure that we make the right decision for our community and for our schools. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I know it's frustrating, and I know it probably feels like we've just been dragging our feet, but I promise that we're not, and that we will be getting information out as soon as we can.
And Alicia, I would just add to this, if you're waiting for one direction or another to decide if you want to be in BOA, just know that you can go ahead and enroll at your neighborhood school now, and we'll be flexible right along with you as we go through the next few weeks, and we get more insight into what that's going to look like. So don't feel like you need to be. We'd love to know who definitely intends to attend BOA. It helps with our planning. But you personally have the flexibility to kind of change with the next couple of weeks and decide a course of action. And then I saw a question in the chat about switching back depending on circumstances. And I want to reiterate that we're going to provide as much flexibility as we can for you to move from online to in-person environment, and vice versa.
So typically, Key, does that look like, when you say that, does that look like switching at like semesters or trimesters?
You know, when we did it during the school year, we switched during a term. We'll have to think a little bit about how to do that in the least disruptive way for students. Every time you switch, it means you get a new set of staff, a new set of teachers. Our teachers in Bethel Online will be following the same scope and sequence as teachers in person. So in terms of content, it won't be particularly disruptive for students, but it will be a disruption for them to get a new set of teachers. So we'll want to be strategic about how often we allow that to happen. But I don't think it's like you have to wait an entire half of the year. I think we can be much more flexible with you than that.
Great, thank you. I think it's better to just provide that more detailed information than not. So next question after masks is, will Zoom be every day?
RW, do you want to field that one?
Yeah, great question. So we are planning on Zoom every day, and it might look a little bit different, K5, 6, 6, 8, and high school level, but yes, we are planning on, again, synchronous and also asynchronous opportunities throughout the day for kids. Of course, in reasonable hours. We aren't having class at 5 o'clock at night. But again, several times, we are really trying to mirror a school building and a school day through BOA.
Okay, so the next question is kind of along the same lines. How many hours a day will middle school students receive live instruction?
We are working as a team to plan exactly what that's going to look like. Again, as you will likely remember, we had 2 Zoom opportunities in the middle school model during last year. We might up that a little bit. We're balancing out the appropriate amount of screen time for middle schoolers, and also the amount of independence that middle school students have versus K5 students. K5 students, it's really important to have that guided instruction more often. In the case of middle and high, you can ease off on that a little bit, but really that sweet spot is in finding the amount of Zoom that's going to give those students the routine that they need, the connection with each other, the connection with their teachers. So look for it to be a little bit more than last year, but not every period, all period, or all day Zoom or anything like that. That we would consider that to be too much screen time.
Great.
And Alicia, there's some more questions about Zoom, maybe
okay.
the element. So that's the same. I can just add on to that. So like he was saying, it might be a little bit more, but we have to have a careful balance of sitting a student down in front of a screen for long periods of time. One of the ways that we juggled that last year was, even though we had a couple hours of Zoom time, we really broke that up with our students. And that would be something that Key and I would be working with our BOA staff on, is providing lots of breaks, lots of opportunities where they move away from the screen. But we are still trying to iron out those details in regards to being in front of a screen for a certain amount of time. Now, there was another question that just came on title. So I think our special programs, those would be synchronous opportunities, again, small group instruction on Zoom, like you might have experienced this past year. Really, really important that we're able to have those in a synchronous way. And so thank you for that question.
Sorry, I didn't define TAG earlier. TAG is talented and gifted. Sorry that we didn't spell out that acronym. Sometimes we get an acronym city and totally forget. Next question is BOA only going to be for this year or a continued way to educate?
Yeah, great question. So it's actually been our ambition to have an online academy in Bethel for quite a while. So this is the catalyst for us to do that. We want to make a sustainable online academy that's an option for families even beyond the pandemic. For a variety of reasons, we know that some students and some families prefer an online environment. So Bethel's intention is to build it this year and continue it into the future.
Let's see. There are a couple questions about tutoring. How do they sign up for tutoring, and locations of tutoring? Yeah,
so the locations will be at the 3 campuses depending on their grade level. So it'll be K5, 6, 8, or 9, 12. And that's something you're going to have to bear with us a little bit as we develop that system, but it'll be a pretty straightforward system where students will be identified for tutoring support. And so that would be the in-person option. And then of course, there's every single day, there's the period of tutoring support that students can access remotely. So quite a bit of tutoring support that students can get in this program.
Thank you, Key. And what,
Alicia, can I just add to that? So for those of you returning to Bethel, you'll recognize that as office hours, family connection, those kinds of things. That's what teachers reference tutoring support as. Many teachers worked with families and students and set up specific days and specific times to really address some specific needs. So if you hear tutoring and office hours, it's the same.
thanks, RW. What are the elementary school hours for BOA?
Okay, so like what Key was saying earlier, we have campuses, and so the elementary campus is Danabo. Danabo's hours are, I believe, I hope I get this right, 8:45 to 2:45. And so within that school day, that's where we're really, working on a design of instruction. That's what that other slide was that I showed you before, looking at the right amount of synchronous time, the right amount of asynchronous time. But that is, again, we're trying to mirror in-person schedules, especially with the campuses that we chose. So 8:45 to 2:45.
Yep, and same for middle and high. They're just the exact same bell schedule as Cascade for the middll and Willamette for the high school.
Okay, and while we're on a scheduling question, will Wednesdays be Zoom? Let's see, sorry. Will Wednesdays have Zoom or will it still be a flex day? We're not, go ahead.
I'll jump in. So yeah, this is a 5-day week. So again, when you're thinking of BOA, I want you to think of in-person learning, and this coming year is 5 days a week, regular school hours. So last year, the reason Wednesday was different is because we used that Wednesday for some specific reasons in the buildings. But this coming year, it's a 5-day week. Great question.
Let's see. One of the questions was, when is the deadline to choose BOA? And can you switch to BOA from in-person learning?
Flexible deadline. The sooner we know, the better we're going to be able to serve all of you because it'll give us a sense of enrollment, which then tells us our staffing, etc. So it's great if we know sooner, but we will be exercising flexibility with you. And absolutely, you can switch back and forth between the two programs.
Great. Let's see.
I see Giovanna's question. Go Eagles. Her child attends Prairie Mountain. So thank you for registering back in June. You did exactly what we were asking families to do. And then just like what Key was saying, very, very flexible. And yes, absolutely, you can be switching into BOA.
Great. And then one more tutoring question. Will it be one-on-one or a small group?
We anticipate it'll be a mix. And we understand that some of you all may or may not be comfortable putting your students in groups with other students. And so to the best of our ability, we will accommodate that.
Great. Okay, did I miss any questions in here? I don't know that I did. There's some specific ones about location. Let's see. I live in West Eugene, directly across from Meadowview. My son started there last fall and it was all online all year for him. So if he needs an in-person tutoring for any reason, are we to go to Cascade Middle School or Meadowview? Not Meadowview?
It'd be, if they're middle, it would be at Cascade. Mm-hmm. And it'll be subject specific tutoring, right? So they'll have an opportunity to meet with their different teachers on different days.
Great, okay. Okay. Following this, I think that I will use some of these questions to make an FAQ. So we'll have this information and it will live online. I'm happy to send it out via email, but if you need more information from BOA, just anticipate that there will be more information on our website, on our homepage, and also the BOA online page. So that some of these questions, if you think you have another question, you can go there first and you might be able to get it answered. But otherwise, you're always welcome to reach out to me. And my email again is my first and last name. So alicia.dodds@bethel.k12.or.us. I know that's long. But yeah, any follow-up questions I'm happy to respond to. But right now, is there any, oh, there's one more question. Let's see, how do we switch from in-person to BOA? Do we just let our homeschool know?
Correct. Yep, that's how you do it.
Yeah, give them a call. And like Key was saying earlier, it might not be like immediate. There might be maybe a little bit of time. I'm not talking about a month or 2 months, but it does take some time to make that happen and to make a really smooth transition for our students.
Thank you, RW. Is tonight's slideshow available? Do we want to share the slideshow with families?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's put it on our website. That's a great suggestion. Thanks, Cami.
Great, we'll put it on the website. That'll be located there. Let's see.
Paisley asked if we would prefer that folks, register now for BOA before learning about the masks. If you want to wait, we understand. If you want to wait until the district comes out in the not too distant future with a decision on that, we understand that. If you think that's going to tip you one way or another.
Let's see.
Okay.
I think that we got all the questions. Oh, how do we?
So register at your home school and then complete the survey. That's 2 steps to get into BOA. Always register at your home school just like you normally would, and then complete that survey. And then Alicia, can you remind us where that's at?
Yeah, so all of that is on the home. All that information is on the homepage. It's one of the articles that is center on the homepage. But Richard's family, I'm not sure if this is who this is exactly, but if you want to send me your email, I can send you all of that information straight to your email if that is better for you.
Yeah, and so yeah, Richard's family, it's if you go to the parent tab at the very top of our website, it'll take you to register. You're going to register at your homeschool, and then there's like a little section that asks you if you are interested in Bethel Online Academy. But yeah, call us, call Alicia, call me, or call Key, and we can sort of walk you through that. Or you can also call your homeschool, and they can also help walk you through that. I guess starting next week, they report next week. So maybe
Great. It looks like they did that anyway. Only did it. So great job. So asking will at our partnering schools with BOA, but if we decide to go compete.
Yeah, you would go back to your homeschool. Mm-hmm.
Great.
All right, so I'm going to say go Snakes and sign off on that.
Okay, feel free to reach out to me or any of us if you have further questions, and we're happy to answer them. So thank you all for joining. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to see you all out there in Zoomland.
take care, everyone. I know.
I don't like
and
snakes.
there's some teachers that don't like snakes either. So
We don't either. I don't either.
maybe that could be the first activity that all of our BOA students do, is they come up with a mascot and a name. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
take care, everyone. We really appreciate you giving us some time tonight, and tell others about tonight, and tell them to check the website.